Hi, it's Kim McGrath from Expressions of the Universe with your Venus retrograde report and forecast, stars and cards for all zodiac signs. I'm so excited. Been really waiting for this transit, and I've been feeling it since the pre-shadow back in June. So I'm wondering maybe if some of you have as well. Well, let's get started. So speaking of the shadows, on my glasses, of course, the pre-shadow began on June 19th, 2023 at 12 degrees, 12 minutes of Leo, 1212. So anybody that has any prominent Leo in their charts, sun, rising, moon, even your planets, you could be feeling it. And I have my moon in Leo. Maybe that's why I've been like, as we're approaching the actual exact station, which is at 28 degrees, 36 minutes of Leo, occurring on Saturday, July 22nd, 2023, here on the East Coast. I've been getting so sentimental. I've been getting really emotional about like past things. And I'm like, wow, that's one of the beautiful things about like being very present and in the moment, no external chatter, not being on your phone, like just going about your day. And like, you'll notice, you'll be able to feel when planets shift into signs. You'll notice when the moon moves into a different sign. You'll be able to feel it, but like so often we don't, because we're so busy and chaotic. We're always on the move. We're always being stimulated by our phones and devices and TV and radio and everything, and people, that we really don't give ourselves the opportunity to truly tune in. And this Venus retrograde is the perfect opportunity for that. Adjusting my screen, because it's a time for us to go within and really do some huge evaluations on ourselves, our values, what we find to be beautiful. Also taking a really good look at our money and our finances. And so I just think it's such a good time, you know, like, especially in the summer, we should be slowing our roll. We should be slowing down and being present and kind of doing a reevaluation of everything. It's good to do that every once in a while. So, you know, the Venus retrograde runs every 18, 19 months. So roughly, you know, just under 2 years. But what's really fascinating about this particular Venus retrograde is that the nodes of the moon, the North Node and the South Node, also shifted recently, July 17th, from Taurus Scorpio lessons in our karmic lessons to Aries Libra. So that really ties in, because Aries and Leo, that's what Venus is in, you know, they are sister signs. They will be trining each other. And so I just feel like it's adding so much more flavor to this Venus retrograde in Leo, is adding so much more flavor to the Aries North Node, Libra South Node 18-month transit. So we're gonna explore all of that. We all know it's very hot out. It's actually pretty beautiful here, but the humidity's got me. So stay hydrated. All right. Just organizing myself and my slides. So with this Venus retrograde, it is about sinking into our heart space. Venus rules love and money. among other things. You'll see when I put the slides up. And then the Aries Libra. So Libra is ruled by Venus, so is Taurus. And so the archetypes of Taurus, which is my rising sign, and Libra, or Libra, as some like to call it, both ruled by Venus. It's about relationships, harmony, balance. Out of that North Node, South Node in Taurus, Scorpio, which is, you know, steeped in that Venus energy, moving into the Aries Libra, steeped in the Venus energy, along with Mars, and Scorpio traditionally ruled by Mars. So we're still kind of in that same theme. We're leaving an 18-month-old karmic theme, entering a new 18-month karmic theme, but it's carrying opposite energies. And just to touch on the attributes that we should have been working on over the last 18 months are independence, self-awareness, trusting one's impulses, courage, constructive self-interest, moderation in giving, self-nurturing. And then the tendencies that we should have been letting go of would be seeing oneself through others' eyes, debilitating selflessness, being too nice. Oh, wait a second. These are the same, these are for the Aries. I thought that I pasted the Taurus, but it isn't. Yeah, sorry, I just really messed up. So like the Taurus Scorpio was so much about self-worth. And the Scorpio energy is like that shadow side of us. And I kind of totally mess it up, because the attributes that I was just talking about and the tendencies to leave behind, that's the Aries and the Libra. So to finish it up, we want to leave behind being too nice, leaving behind obsessive attachments to fairness and justice. Just because you're going to treat somebody fair and justly you can't expect that to be happening back to you. A tit for tat, eye for eye mentality, codependence, and the attachment to external harmony. And yeah, now I'm really disappointed that, I thought that I had pulled the attributes up, and somehow that got a little messed up. Maybe I can retrieve it real quick. Taurus North Node, because I just wanted to review really quickly the energy that we're coming out of and what we're coming into, because they are so similar. It's just the opposite of. So the energy that we're leaving behind, we should have been working on in our karmic story: loyalty, awareness of boundaries, taking things one step at a time, a sense of self-worth, awareness of personal values. Values were huge. Patience, honoring expressed needs of self and others, enjoying the 5, I say 6 senses, the pleasure of the senses, gratitude, awareness of nurturing from Mother Earth, forgiveness, and persistence. And with the Scorpio South Node, what we should have been leaving behind over the last 18 months, attraction to crisis situations, that's huge, because so many people are addicted to suffering and crisis situations and the drama behind every little thing. It's almost like an attention magnet. Over concerned with other people's business, impatience, inappropriate intensity, judgmental tendencies, preoccupation with psychological motivation of others, like worrying what other people are thinking of you and what their motivations are. It's such a time waster. Resistance to cooperating with what others want, overreacting in general, destroying something in order to eliminate one part, obsessive compulsive tendencies. And then one of the hardest lessons out of this Taurus Scorpio would be the lesson that we need to seek our own self-worth through, not seeking our own self-worth through other people, through the approval of others, or the need of somebody else's validation in order to feel good about ourselves. That was like one of the biggest lessons. So yeah. And now with the Aries North Node, a lot of people, and I've said this before in one of my other videos, they misunderstand Aries, thinking that Aries are selfish, but it's really actually the opposite, because we are all part of whatever our polar opposite is. So, you know, if you're an Aries, you've got the polar opposite of Libra. Sorry, I'm watching what my dog is doing. And so the need to keep harmony and balance in relationships and be complacent and be accommodating. So Aries is so good at doing that. But then when it's not reciprocated, they get really full of rage and anger, and then they lash out. And that's, you know, like that's the part of Aries that everybody sees. So we're all learning this lesson, not just Aries. We're all learning the lesson about giving to ourselves first and not being so overly accommodating to others, especially when it's not being reciprocated, you know. So like, you can't get mad at another person if you're allowing them to do that to you. Also the tendency of just being so nice and walking on eggshells, that's what we need to be leaving behind. Yes, finding the balance, finding the harmony, but not at the expense of your own self-worth and your own needs. So I just want to let you know, tonight I will be using, I say tonight, you might be watching this in the morning, the afternoon. When you see this video, the stars and cards that I'll be doing, I got a brand new deck. I was trying to decide which deck I would use for this video. Now I almost said tonight again. And I got a brand new deck delivered like minutes ago, and it is the Queen of the Moon Oracle, and it's by Stacey DeMarco. And if that sounds familiar, she was the creator of the Halloween deck that I've been using for, my gosh, like a decade. These cards are gorgeous, and I will probably use the book because I don't know the deck. I haven't even opened this, broken the seal yet, but cards are really pretty, very beautiful. And yeah, I'll be doing those for each zodiac sign, and I will be time stamping. All right, so I'm just going to go into my slide real quick and just review that because, you know, because I have to do that. I spent time preparing it. All right, so here we have the Venus retrograde, a different perspective. I don't know if you have watched or seen any other Venus retrograde videos, or read any articles in regards to the Venus retrograde. Wait, I have these charts I printed out so that when I do your stars and cards, I know what to reference. Gotta move myself. Oh, shoot. I want to make sure that you can read this. So some Venus retrograde fun facts. It occurs approximately every 18 months, lasts for 40 days, the exact retrograde. The pre-shadow is for 1 month before, so that came in on June 19th. And the post-shadow lasts for a month after. And that, so for this particular retrograde, pre-shadow June 19th, retrograde from July 22nd to September 3rd. That's the 40 days. And then the post-shadow will run until October 7th. And if you read the article that I had, I guess I'll put the link in this video, because I wrote an article and I explain how pre-shadow, post-shadow works. Venus has to, in the pre-shadow, runs through, starting at 12 degrees of Leo. It runs through when it hits 28 degrees, which will happen. It's at 28 degrees right now, but it's been just stationed there. Then it will start its retrograde, like moving back, and it has to go back to the 12 degrees. And then the post shadow, it goes from 12 back to 28. So it goes back and forth 3 times. So if you have something in Leo, it's going to run back and forth over it 3 times to make sure that you get these lessons. But it's not just Leo that's affected. You'll see. This is actually the first Venus retrograde fully in Leo since the 1800s. Previous to right now, it dips into Virgo for a little bit and then back into Leo. So Leo has never had its very own full Venus retrograde, which is pretty cool. Venus retrograde can only be in one of 5 Venus star point signs. And I wrote a whole article earlier in the year, I think. Maybe it was at the end of last year, about the Venus star point signs and how you can find yours. Venus retrograde is a great time to slow down, go within, and discover our heart's desires. Venus rules love and money, beauty, music, art, values, and fashion. And what's really cool, you'll see changes in those areas in the outer world, not just within yourself. And Leo rules pride, courage, strength, public image, play, children, passion, and creativity. Expect to hear of celebrity hookups and breakups. Also, expect to hear it in your own personal lives, people you know, or even yourselves. New music, art, trends, especially fashion trends, usually arise during Venus retrogrades. New music, like new music genres, like something completely out of the box. And, you know, in my article, I talk about one of my most favorite Venus retrograde stories is the whole grunge scene of the early 90s. Kurt Cobain with Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, etc., etc. And the whole grunge, you know, clothing, the flannels and the Doc Martens coming back. That all happened on Kurt Cobain's ascendant during a Venus and Mercury retrograde. I have the chart here for you. I think it's just fascinating how you can clearly see it in his chart where this was launched. So I'll show you that in a moment. And it changed everything, because at that time, you know, everything was about big hair metal bands. Guns N' Roses even tried to sue Nirvana for ruining their future by completely changing the sound and the fashion and the trends in music and in the world. Smells Like Teen Spirit. I pulled the chart for that date specifically. What is this dog doing? maybe it's the Venus retrograde, I don't know, driving her crazy. But yeah, it was such a pivotal moment, the summer of 1991, that everything changed after that, and it was the best music. So you can also expect financial sector shifts. That's why it's a really great time to be looking at your own budget and your own spending and seeing like where you can make changes and being a little more frugal. And then old flames returning. And, you know, I remember somebody really important saying to me, never go backwards. Never go backwards. There's a reason why you broke up then. Don't ever go backwards. Just keep moving forward. So you have to be really careful. Venus retrograde, hooking up with an ex. All right, so here's a diagram of the Venus star points, and they have been holding steady for hundreds of years. The article that I wrote recently, months ago, was that we had our first eclipse in the sign of Libra. So like they're starting to shift, and you could see like the third star point is on the cusp of Virgo and Leo, but it's shifting, it's moving. And then the Scorpio star point made its first dip into Libra for the first time in hundreds of years. So I'll link that article in with this as well, so that if you're interested. And then in the article, it also provides a link that you can look up and find out what your prenatal star point sign is. So even though I'm a Gemini, and Gemini is one of the star points, the star point that occurred right before my birth was actually in Aries. And that plays a whole significant role in your life as to what your star point is. All right, so here's the chart for the ingress, or the station of Venus in Leo at 28 degrees, 36 minutes. It's in the 7th house of the public, the people, relationships, open enemies, like known enemies, people that are our enemies. It is conjunct to Mars, although it's in Virgo, and right in between we have Pallas Athena, you know, the warrior goddess. And I smile, but at the same time, it's, you know, when you look at it on a world scale, it's a little scary. I have these other arrows pointed out because we're just at about 29 degrees. And the South Node in Libra is at 29 degrees. The Pluto retrograde currently at 29 degrees. North Node at 29 degrees. The Sun in Cancer, 29 degrees, 59 minutes. It's 1 minute away from moving into Leo, which actually occurs a couple minutes after this. It's so powerful though, because these are cardinal points, meaning it's the start of something, the beginning of something, the catalyst. And knowing that these nodes are holding space here for 18 months. And also too, Capricorn in this position back and forth over this area for the same 18 additional months. It's going to be powerful, and it's a little scary. We also have, if you could see these green lines in here, these are called yods or fingers of God. There's 2 of them. One is pointing to the Venus and Mars with Pluto and Neptune at the helm. And then the other is the South Node, the Sun pointing to Neptune. It's pretty powerful. I wrote an article also about these nodes, the Aries North Node, It's very warlike. And so, but this could be wars in your own life, in your own home. But I look at it from a global level. It's the beginning of something extremely profound. I will say that. Here's my diagram. I was borrowing the diagram for the last couple of videos from the astrology podcast, but then I decided to do my own. Here is Venus retrograding, and so the blue lines are harmonious. So Venus will be making harmony with Libra signs and Gemini. Oh, wait, yes. So pay attention to where your prominent signs are in your chart. So Venus and Leo will be making sextiles to Libra and Gemini. It will be squaring Scorpio and Taurus, the red. And then it will be trining Sagittarius and Aries, and it will be in total opposition to Aquarius. Remember, this isn't over until October 7th of 2023. So it's a very long transit. And then I do have the houses, which I talked about in one of my other videos. If you wanted to pause your screen, take a screenshot of it so that you have a breakdown, because you're going to want to look and see, well, you know, say, for example, you're a Capricorn. Where does Capricorn, you know, like, where does this show up in your chart? So I don't have the houses on here, but say, for example, this is the 12th house. Oh, so this would be affecting you in your subconscious, past life connections, your self-undoing, self-sacrifice, fears, confinement, institutions, jails, hospitals, dreaming, and spirituality. For me, which I have right here, I have my chart. I don't know, what is she doing? I have my moon in Leo, and it's at 14 degrees. So the pre-shadow started at 12. It runs all the way to 28, and then it's going to come back to 12 and then go back to 28. So it's going to go over my moon 3 times. And so where could this be affecting me? Well, directly in the 4th house. So I may have to pause this because I don't know what she is getting herself into. So if we go back, this would be mother, father, my ancestors' private life, the end of the matter, things wrapping up, family, home, the nest, nurturing, land and real estate, everything having to do with the values surrounding my home and my family. All right. She's driving me crazy. I prepared so much for this video and she never barks. And of course, she's going crazy. But, you know, if you've been following me for a while with all my other dogs, how crazy it used to be. Anyway, so yes, think about values. Like, how much money am I spending on my family? What's important about my family? That's probably where all that sentimentality is coming up from, that I've been kind of emotional about, because the moon is about emotions. So yeah, I've already been feeling this Venus retrograde. The other places that it would be affecting in my chart: Taurus, Aries, Aquarius, and Scorpio, a little bit of the Sagittarius South Node. And then here's where the Libra is, my 6th house. So I'm going to be feeling it in all of these places. So you want to look at your chart and find those points also and see, you know, like, where is it going to be happening for you? And then you can look at this house diagram and say, okay, for example, what if I had, you know, what if I had my moon up in Leo in the 10th house? That would be about work and career and my goals. I would be taking a good look back about that, reevaluating that. But this moon, particularly for me anyway, just to give you an example, this Venus retrograde is asking me to take a really good look at and reevaluate everything about my family and what's important, and like, what am I spending my money on in my family, and am I overspending, which I often tend to do because, you know, I'm generous with my loved ones, but really getting down to the nitty gritty. But that's what that would be surrounding. And so, yeah, I just thought it would be interesting for you to see a prime example, since I do have my moon in Leo. Now, I know a lot of you are Leo suns or Leo risings, and that would be showing up right around, like, if you have the Leo rising, it would be in your first house. So it's all about yourself and your appearance, and maybe reevaluating the way you look, changing things up. Oh, you don't want to have any cosmetic surgery during this time. None of you, because Venus rules that. You could think about it. You can plan for it as soon as, like, the retrograde's over, October 7th, but I wouldn't actually do it. And I would be really cautious about, you know, spending a lot of money on anything. Like, this is a time for you to be reevaluating what you're spending your money on, how you're spending it. And so now here's Kurt Cobain's chart. I did his natal chart, his solar arc chart, and the transits at the time of the release of the song Smells Like Teen Spirit. He is a Virgo rising. He is a Pisces sun, and his moon is in Cancer. The Cancer moon and the Pisces sun are a big reason why he's no longer here. Robin Williams has the same similar lineup in his chart. Anyway, both Mercury and Venus retrograde, August through September, right here in his 12th house, with it's conjuncting Jupiter and the sun, the planet of luck. It's also conjuncting his natal solar arc Jupiter, the planet of luck and good fortune. Crossing natal Pluto down here. So that's about transformation and change. And also transiting Pluto down here in his second house of money and values. Big changes were coming there as well. And we talk about, you know, music. I always think of Pisces, or, you know, Venus ruled planets, Libra, Taurus, when it comes to music and art. The solar arc sun in the 7th house of the people, the public, opposing the retrograde with the solar arc Mercury, which is also about media. And media is music or news, and, you know, like, getting that out there. Transiting part of fortune was almost conjunct his solar arc part of fortune in the 9th house of expansion. So there's all these different places in his chart. And it was this song when it came out on the radio. And I think because of Venus and Mercury being retrograde, for everybody, it just boom, you know. And then, you know, with music, the house, in the 7th house of the public, the people, it hit everybody so strongly, and it became a new musical genre, and it became a new fashion trend. And I just find it extremely fascinating. So I'm interested to see what comes out of this retrograde. And that occurred, by the way, back in August and September of 1991. So stop sharing. So yeah, now find it fascinating. Going to crack this deck, crack that whip. And it doesn't want to open. There we go. Give it a good knock and a shuffle. Get ready for your stars and cards. Oh, they're sticking together. And I always loved the Halloween deck by Stacey DeMarco. And then when I saw these cards, and she has a couple of others. She has an animal totem one. Not sure. I wasn't sure about that, but this particular deck really called to me. Let's shuffle, and then we're going to do a reading for all of you, and I'm going to match it with the astrology for your horoscope. Where did that chart go? Just had it right here. There we are. Okay. We'll start with Aries. And Aries, you're going to be looking for well, let me back up before I start. For all of us, really, really great time to be looking at your budget. If you want an Excel spreadsheet budget, you can send me a message, email me through expressionsoftheuniverse.com, and I'll attach it back to you, an Excel spreadsheet for doing budgets, which is really easy and simple. And, you know, I'm in finance. That's what I do during the day. And so you want to look at your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign, maybe stellium, maybe where your nodes are as well. But let's get started. I'm going to cut this, and then I'm just pulling from the top. And I said I'm going to use the book because I haven't even had a moment to study these cards at all. So let's get started. Aries, suns, risings, and moons. So in the stars, you will be, the North Node is now in Aries, which is huge. It's fate, it's destiny, it's the direction that you're going to be moving in. So this is about, fulfilling yourself a little bit more. Going to want to read that article I wrote, but this is about you. This Venus retrograde is about you diving into your subconscious, your past life connections. Where is your self-undoing? What are you doing to self-sabotage yourself? Over-sacrificing yourself for, giving too much to others, at the sake of yourself. Things that hold you back because you're afraid. Where you're confining yourself or restricting yourself. And this is also about dreaming and spirituality. And your card is the full moon, and it's about power. It is card number 16. And so that speaks to me about the self and your material manifestations. And a reminder that they are divinely connected. So if you're feeling that you're lacking, it's definitely because you're not making that divine connection, and that's what you should. And The full moon is about taking your power back. So let's see, card 16 with this full moon. And it says, step into your true power. Let's hold that back there. Shine brightly. Do not hide who and what you are. The time is right to attract big things for yourself. Ancestral energy is important. Open your mind to larger possibilities. Big magic can be yours for the taking. I love that. Then it says, go outside on a clear night and look up, and hopefully you'll see the stars twinkling. And if you are really lucky, you might see the swirling Milky Way spilling across into the darkness. Make a wish on that. I love that. Okay. Taurus, suns, risings, and moons. This is last quarter moon. It's about gratitude. Oh, this is beautiful. It's card 23. And it's specifically, let's get this up in here for you. Look how beautiful that is. Really pretty. The card 23 speaks about your emotions and the way that you feel, the connections that you make, and the changes that you need to make, especially if you're feeling a lack of gratitude. But this is really saying, like, Venus, which rules Taurus, is going to be asking you. It's going to be challenging because Venus in Leo is squaring Taurus. So there is tension there. Both fixed signs. So there's like some stubbornness, but this is saying that you may be wanting to reach out to somebody. Just be grateful that they're in your life. Maybe you need to let some people know how grateful you are about them being in your life. So let me look this up real quick. All right, so this card is saying for the Taurus suns, risings, and moons, be where you are and be thankful. There is always something to be grateful for, no matter what no matter what you are suffering. Gratitude raises a lower vibration to a higher one. Do not allow yourself to be surrounded by too many negative people. Life is conspiring for you. And it reminds you that as we enter the last quarter moon on a lunar cycle, the energy begins to turn towards surrender and release. So that last quarter moon, it's right before a new moon. We've already passed that, but every month we get to do it again. So it's a good reminder. Oh, and your astrology for Taurus, I'm sorry. This is all about you, your self-identity, your appearance, and the way you present yourself to the world. That's where the changes need to be made, and where it's something directly related to you. And I have to take note of that as well because I'm a Taurus rising. All right, Gemini. Geminis, listen up. Me too. For Geminis, this is all about your immediate family, your values, your money, your finances, your material possessions, self-worth, security, and stability. So that's what this Venus retrograde is asking you to do. Your card is the snow moon, which I know occurs in usually February, and it's about purity, cleansing. That's really kind of ominous, but beautiful at the same time. It's card number 30. This is talking about the connections, the protection, and the boundaries that you have to put up. Connection, protection, and boundaries. And all right, let's see. Let's get that in one more good. Kind of looks like Meg Ryan. I don't know why that came to my mind. Anyway, put that there. Look for the simplest and cleanest solution. Understand your motives for doing what you are doing. Be as clear as possible in your communications. That's really kind of perfect for Gemini. The word purity now seems to have a kind of loaded moral quality. Anytime anybody mentions that word, people mostly think about how it's used in religious or in morals. For example, the purity of virgins, the purity of no sex before marriage, the purity of celibacy. But what this is saying here is the purity that's being referred to is the purity of the silver moon on the unmarked snow. The simple purity of intention that nature demonstrates. The purity of clean water in a mountain stream. The purity of one single purpose. So this is really good for Gemini, especially because Geminis can have 50 million things on their mind, so scattered. This Venus retrograde is really asking all of us to really come back within ourselves, slow our rolls. Okay, Cancer. You know what? I'm losing my mind. Losing my mind. Sorry, I have to readjust. I have to make some adjustments and I apologize. So we're going to go back. Okay, never mind. Scratch. Cancers. This is about your inner child, your children, romantic partners, creativity, joy, pleasure, destiny or dharma, and speculations. You know what? I am going to back it up because with Aries, you really got to curb your spending. I was kind of looking at the wrong chart. Taurus, this is about communications, straight up, either with siblings, people in your neighborhood. So that's what and then Gemini, it's about the home and the family. So, yeah, that kind of really hits with that moon of mine. So Cancer, now I'm back on track. Cancer, it is about your inner child, your children, romantic partners, creativity, joy, pleasure, destiny, dharma, and speculations. Your card is 22. That is a master manifesting magical number, little crabs. And you have the waning gibbous moon, and it's wisdom. I love that. So I'm going to flip to that page, the waning gibbous moon, meaning like it's on its way to, you know, going from a full moon to a new moon. But it has quite some time to go. All right. Hold that back there. This is about wisdom. Oh, and card number 22. It's all about if you're trying to manifest anything, Cancers or anybody really, it's all about how you feel in here, what your emotions are. You have to believe that something is already yours, or you have to really want it deeply in order for it to manifest. But this is also talking about not only, you know, like where are you sitting emotionally, but like who are the people that you are around? Are you surrounding yourselves with the right people? You may be wanting to go in and take a look at that. Wisdom is more than mere knowledge. There may be something you aren't seeing and need to research more thoroughly. Wisdom is gathered, but it takes time. Learn from your experience. You may wish to ask the opinion of a wise mentor, If you are uncertain about which direction you're going in, or, like getting the advice of maybe another, it's often said that the body has its own innate wisdom. That's why it's so important for us to be present and in the present moment, like I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Because when you turn all the external stimulation off, you'll feel the shift in the planets. You'll feel energy coming from another person. You'll know if a situation or a person or something isn't right because you'll feel it. If we are so disconnected by external stimuli, then you're not going to pick up on those things. And that's what that's what this is talking about. If healthy, it just knows what to do and does what it needs to keep us alive. That's our bodies. And moving without thinking too much about it. So like being in the present moment, it's very much the same. And it says, similarly, we have this innate reasoning system of intuition that allows us to get answers or receive information without even consciously thinking. That's where all that wisdom comes in. But it's so important to not be overstimulated. And I think that that's kind of the message that I'm getting for Cancers. Leo. So the Venus retrograde is in Leo. This will impact you the very mostest. And it's occurring in your 6th house of health, daily activities, daily routines. It's not just the health, it's overall health, body, mind, spirit. Whenever I am looking at an astrology chart and I want to know what the mental health of somebody is, I go right to the 6th house. I look right there and I pick that up, and then I look and see, well, where's Mercury? Because the 6th house is typically ruled by Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. The modern ruler is Chiron. So I can see what's your mind like, Mercury, and where are your wounds, Chiron. It's very telling. So yeah, that's going to be huge for the Leos. It's also your familiars, small pets, your coworkers, overall mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health, your day-to-day details, service to others. It's like there's so much packed into that area for the Leos. Okay, and you have waning gibbous moon resilience. I love that. It's card number 21. Talks about getting in check with your emotions so that you can bring yourself back to wholeness. Card number 21. All right. Making mistakes builds resilience. I have learned my lessons from mistakes I have made. I stand strong, I am an adult, and I act with self-responsibility. This is the message for the Leos. I'm going to repeat that. Making mistakes builds resilience. You have to admit and be accountable and accept, any mistakes that you made. Learn from those lessons and stand strong as an adult with integrity and self-responsibility. Carry that weight, carry that load. As we stretch and expand towards our intentions, we will most likely meet resistance, or wait for it, make mistakes, or fail altogether. This is where resilience, confidence, and our inner will come into play. We might ask ourselves, how much do we really want? What are we going for? And what do we want to align with? How much do we want to carry? Maybe for the Leos, this is releasing some of your own personal burdens that have been holding you back and holding you down. Take a really good deep look at every detail in your everyday, day-to-day life. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, and even analyze your dreams. Take, these next couple of months and do a really deep dive analysis on every aspect of your life. That's what this retrograde is about. And this is a 19-month cycle for you. I will say that. Okay, so Virgos, this is very much about it's a mixture of your relationships, partnerships, anyone in business and home, legal matters. It's also karmic lovers for Virgos, your shadow self. There's a lot of things that you need to be looking at. Other people's money and bills and things that you share with other people. This is really deep for the Virgos. Your card is the Wolf Moon, and it's about hunger. Yeah, that Wolf Moon that occurs in the midst of winter. It's card number 29, which is the culmination of all the energies coming together. And what I'm hearing is like one chapter is ending and a new chapter is beginning, a new path is beginning. And it's quite emotional too. This is a deep emotional dive for the Virgos. All right, so hunger, feed the good and hope within you. There will always be a lean part of the cycle. Prosperity will come. Do not let your hunger blindly dictate your actions entirely. An old and wise Cherokee of the First Nations in the United States is speaking to his grandson about life. The young boy asks his grandfather, it is said, grandfather, that everyone has two wolves within them. The first wolf gives darkness, despair, hate, and jealousy, and sorrow. The second wolf gives light and hope and helpfulness and kindness. Yet, grandfather, I feel them fighting within me. What can I do? The grandfather replies, my small son, these two wolves will always fight, and they will always fight within each person. You are no different, said the grandfather. But, said the boy, grandfather, which wolf will win? And the grandfather answers, whichever wolf you feed. And I know a lot of you know that story, but I thought it was pretty cool at the same time. All right, Virgos, that was for you. And I have to hurry this up because my battery's running out. Scorpio, oh, Libra, Libra. Okay, so Libra, this is about expansion. This is about higher education, travel overseas, higher divine knowledge, finding the peace, finding the balance, but stop putting others ahead of yourself. Stop walking on eggshells. Stop trying to make everybody happy at your expense. Your card is Waxing Crescent and its growth. It is card number 5, which indicates big change. And I don't know, looking at this card is, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but interesting. And it's back here, it looks kind of funny, but this is the card of close. All right, so it's all about growth. And growth is always kind of painful, right? You know, Libras, you've got that South Node in Libra for the next 18 months. And for you, it is all about leaving all of those other qualities behind and incorporating the qualities of Aries. Stop being so overly accommodating to everybody at your expense. It's time for you to step into the spotlight, Libras. All right, here we go. Reject stagnancy to get unstuck. Take action. The choice to grow should be made. Expect growing pains when making huge changes in your life. Change is a natural part of life and cannot be pushed against forever. Change should have aim and purpose. Be courageous and you will blossom. And it gives you the analogy of the willow tree and the ability to bend and flow with the change and the flows. But this is asking you, it's time for you to grow. And that's what your astrology is showing as well. It's time for expansion. It's time for something new. And I love that. I love that for you, Libras. Scorpio. Scorpio, this is about your goals, your aspirations in the world. What is it you're moving towards? Interesting. Your card is about acceptance. It is the waxing crescent moon. It is card number 4, which speaks about finding the right people at the right time, coming together and being able to create exactly what it is and being accepted for exactly who you are. Acceptance of the current situation is the first step to change. The past does not exist. Oh, so this is saying you should be accepting of how things are. I was thinking this is about others accepting you. The past does not exist. The future hasn't happened. There is only right now. When we examine our lives and engage in some truth-telling, we are often confronted with what really is. This realization is powerful, but often we reject this truth. If it is too hard to bear, or we are too afraid of accepting something that is so difficult. So this is asking you to take the blinders off, open up the windows, the shades, and remove the blind spots. It's time for you to really fully take a deep dive into things that you were not willing to look at. And it's all revolving around your goals and aspirations in that outer world. And maybe it's directly tied or related to success, like career-wise. And also there are some things related to the family tied in there as well. Sagittarius. This also is about goals and career aspirations and how you're known out in the outer world. There is harmony there. However, this is about authority figures, people that, you know, could be holding you back. This is your public persona, your legacy, your reputation. This is also mother and father related as well. And you have the long night moon, Sagittarius, and it's darkness, and it is card number 40, which does talk about finding the right people, finding those connections that you can also create with, and then putting up boundaries where, you know, being very protective of who you say what to, who you tell what to, who you let into your circle. All right, so Sagittarius, you are entering a time of introversion, a leaner time, or a time to turn inward to plan and strategize. It is time to do shadow work, which will bring big dividends later on. Release what no longer works for you. So, and one of the earliest human fears is said to be the fear of the dark. We don't like to look at our shadow, but a deep dive is required at this time, according to that card for the Sages. And it's all career and mother, father, family related. and who has authority over you and who's taking your power away as well. Capricorns. Capricorns, this is about dreams, hopes, wishes, the collective, the connections that you make with friends, your best friends. It's your community. It's the collective consciousness. I love that. And it is humanity as well. And I love this for the Capricorns because you know, like there's a lot going on, but it is the Beaver Moon and it is about creation. And it's card number 39, which talks about our connections. Oh, did you see that? I'm wondering if it's lightning out. Our connections and a new path opening up for you. And this is about, you know, like calling on the ascended masters and stepping onto that path, knowing that you are protected. All right, so Capricorns, you can create your own destiny. Be industrious. Every creature on earth creates. You should welcome the process of creation. Save money and time. Have a reserve. There is a good reason for the saying, busy as a beaver. For the beaver is truly an industrious animal, and you're coming into a brand new, very busy time. I can't think of when the Beaver Moon is, but I believe it is during Capricorn season, if I'm not mistaken. So I love that. Aquarius, you're going to be doing some past life recall. This is going to be a tough one for you. This Venus retrograde is opposing you. It's going to make you see sides of yourself that you may not want to look at, where you have self-sabotaged, where your fears are, where you confine yourself, you hold yourself in. This is also about your dreaming and your spirituality. Aquarius, this is also about acceptance, I'm hearing. And you have card number 3. It's the waxing crescent, and it's realization. And I love this. It's a really pretty, very pretty card. Realization. So that's what I was feeling, like some sort of an aha wake up in a sense. Realization. Okay. The waxing crescent. With self-awareness comes realization. Knowledge is power. Self-examination of your role within a situation is important. As we move into early waxing cycle, light begins. So we are in the early waxing cycle right now, actually. Light begins to shine upon the shadows, illuminating what is. This is the beginning of a powerful process, realization. When we decide to really examine our lives and ourselves, without fear or favor, because it can be hard. This is an act of courage to really take a good look at yourself, what's working, what's not working, and incorporating all of those things from the Venus retrograde. You know, looking at your values, looking at your money and your spending, and, you know, coming up with a new budget as well. Like, because I feel like we could be coming into, you know, some leaner, harder times again. Just looking at the aspects this is going to carry for like a couple years. I think next year things could get a little better because it's an election year here in the United States, but I'm doing this for people all over the world. I don't think things lighten up financially really until after 2026. Last but not least, Pisces. Pisces, this is all about you, your self-identity, your appearance, the way you show up in the world, the face that you put off in the world, how people know you and see you. This is about taking your mask off and showing up and being your authentic self. And oh, this is so pretty. It is card number 24, protection, waning crescent. So this is also, we're already out of the waning crescent, but look how beautiful this is. This is about your emotions, your connections, and allowing yourself to open up so you can manifest, knowing that you are always protected, you always have enough. But if you close yourself off so much, Pisces, you won't have what it is that you're looking for. And this is where the lack of satisfaction could be coming for the Pisces. But let's see. I mean, like, that's what I was picking up. Card 24, your emotions and your connections, yes, equaling a 6, your manifestations and material wealth. So I'm sure something in that theme will resonate. Okay, your higher power, however you describe this, is a loving, protective energy. You are loved and protected. Identify your fears. You can protect yourself better. Trust in yourself. As the lunar cycle comes to the last set of crescents, which you're going to have to wait a whole month for, in this case, the waning ones, we know that the dark moon is close, and so is a fresh start of the beautiful new moon. Here is your chance to let go of any resistance and surrender, and just let go and know that you are always protected. Good things are around the corner for the Pisces. Okay, so that's all I have for you. I hope you liked this video. I was overthinking everything and I wanted it to be good. And then I just got fraught with delay after delay after delay. So thanks for your patience. Happy Venus retrograde. If you want that budget spreadsheet, email me at expressionsoftheuniverse.com and I'll send that off to you at my earliest convenience. I'm always so busy, but yeah, let's get our finances in order. Let's get our hearts in order. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's be in the present. Going to be doing a lot more of that. And it is summertime here in the Northern Hemisphere. And I'm getting ready for vacation, and I am going to be taking some time off. So stay tuned, but I won't leave you high and dry. I'm going to record my videos and schedule them in advance so that you'll always have them right on time. We have 2 full moons in the month of August, and it is almost Leo season. So let's have at it. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Happy Venus retrograde.